I want to thank everybody for joining today's Code Ninjas conference call. My name is Marty Flanagan. I'm the Vice President of Franchising with Code Ninjas. I host these calls every week, and I go over basically kind of get caught up with where Code Ninjas is, what's going on for about the first 15 minutes, what the buzz is about, a little bit more about us, and then I open it up to a live Q&A, which allows you to ask any question that caffeine in my system. I have eaten, so I can go as long as you would like with your question. Last week, tech issue, and the call got cut off about an hour in. Super sucks. So sorry about that. Happened one time in 3 years, but these calls are designed to be able to give you insight, and questions usually organically generate more questions. So it's pretty cool because a lot of times when you ask a question, there is somebody else out there that has that same question, and then it feeds off that question. And if you've ever listened to these calls in the past, you know that I take my time. I love to be able to answer your questions, and that questions generate more questions. So it's a really good opportunity us as a group to be able to go after tons of different angles with Code Ninjas, answer different questions. On the call, we have UK, we have Canada, we have the US. My teams in the U.S., I have a team in Canada and a team in the U.K. as well. I'm very versed on the market with inside the U.K., Canada, and the U.S. So no matter what no matter what market that you are in, if I can answer your question legally, I'm going to answer your question and give you more insight with inside your market, with inside your area to help give you better understanding. So what has been happening with Code Ninjas, what's going on, and Code Ninjas itself, just to kind of give you a timeline, if you've listened to these calls in the past, you've probably heard this before. If this is your first time tuning into a call, then this will be some good information for you. So where did Code Ninjas come from? What happened? Well, the CEO, the creator of Code Ninjas, David Graham, owned a school that taught adults how to code for many years. He himself, coder, programmer for 25 plus years. And he started a school that taught adults how to code, going from knowing nothing to a total vocational world of being a coder and a programmer. And that school had a 96% placement, so very successful. Operated for 4.5 years, and in I believe it was 11 or 12 different states inside the U.S. And that school was purchased and is now a part of the Wozniak Group, also known as WozU, which is obviously a very highly creditable organization and does a great job for coders and programmers. But there wasn't a time that passed in week after week after week with his students when he had that school, and inside that school he was asked questions over and over again by his students, which ranged from contractors to already kind of computer people to such a diverse group of people. But the questions kept coming back the same: is how do we get our younger generation involved? Quite honestly, 7 years ago when those questions first started coming up, there really just wasn't much out there on the market that was really engaging, really fun, and honestly the awareness on the market just really wasn't there for parents who didn't have a tech background to understand the value of their son or their daughter, getting involved in the mindset of a coder and a programmer, which is really becoming just an incredible thinker, problem identification, critical thinking skills, those cognitive abilities on what behind the scenes of a great coder and a great program, and the benefit to that for kids that are brains that are developing. So there wasn't really a lot out there. And the more and more he looked, and the more and more he just saw the opportunity. And really, with being a dad himself, was just being more and more disappointed with the lack of opportunity. Whether it be mom and pop organization somewhere or franchise somewhere, and what they were doing was really just off-the-shelf programming. Nothing was proprietary. Nothing was really quite organized. And so he himself, as an entrepreneur, coder, and programmer, put things together. And as he sat in his son's karate session and looked up at the wall and saw all these different belts, light bulb went off and Code Ninjas was created. Sold his school, like I mentioned. He sold that after about 4.5 years, and really we started focusing on Code Ninjas. And what all that timeline looked like is we started developing Code Ninjas in October of 2016. That's when I resigned from my franchise executive role, came aboard, and started building Code Ninjas with David Graham and Bert Sensipon in October of 2016. We launched our first location in March of 2017. And that's also the month that we had our very first franchisee come aboard, which was late March, early April. They came aboard and were open, 9-10 months after that. So that was when all that happened. Fast forward, now we are in January of 2020. What do the numbers say now? Well, in that 3 short years, this March will be 3 years, we have 308 franchisees. We have 200 locations open, and we have more than 560 sold locations across the UK, Canada, and the US. Our very first UK franchisees are at our corporate office right now in Houston, Texas, going through new franchisee training because they will be opening here in mid-February, early March. And so we have our first location open in the UK within that 3-year timeline. Pretty exciting to be in 3 different countries within 3 years and having such a high number of great franchisees coming aboard Code Ninjas in those countries. So pretty excited. So why did all that happen? How did all this all of a sudden just explode in the way it is and the way it has? And what has been the differentiator of Code Ninjas? Well, there's a couple of things. One, we really bring the awareness to the table in terms of the value of understanding, what it's like to be a coder and a programmer, and not siloing these kids into a career, but showing the skill set behind it and how it really works with their cognitive development as a youngster, and making it fun. Obviously, we are big on our phrase, which is kids have fun, parents see results. That is our foundation of what we focus on. So inside Code Ninjas, we don't just have one opportunity for students to get involved in Code Ninjas. We have multiple opportunities for families to engage in Code Ninjas. We are not siloed into an age range. We are not siloing our kids into a career. We are focused on their cognitive ability, their problem-solving skills, their critical thinking skills, time management, collaboration, leadership. We focus on that skill set because that is the skill set that makes a great coder and a great programmer. And we focus on that part of everything. So we don't focus on just the language. We don't focus on just an age range. We have that pretty much a large variety of opportunities for families to get involved in Code Ninjas. Those opportunities range from our Code Ninjas Create program, which we are going to talk about today in more detail. We also have our Code Ninjas Junior program. We have our Ninjas Pro curriculum. That'll be released here in 2020, early 2020. We're not going to talk much about the Pro curriculum today because that's for 12 years and older, and that is not released yet. So when you focus on the programs that are released, we have Create, we have our Code Ninjas Junior, we have camps, which camps are done whenever there's not school. They're 5 days long. They're either a half day or a full day for the duration of 5 days. We also do workshops. Workshops would be more like the 1 to 3 day program. We also do Parents' Night Out. We also do birthday parties. And we also do after-school program here in the U.S. and Canada. We do not do the after-school program in the UK. There's different laws and different requirements, different things going on over there that would make it very difficult for you, especially with usage and zoning requirements. So we are not doing that currently in the UK. So you have the Code Ninjas Create, Code Ninjas Junior, camps, workshops, Parents' Night Out, birthday parties. We also do a lot of one-day events, which are more of a service to your community, parent tech education nights and such. That we also do holiday hackathons. So we have multiple different programs that engage families and the community as well. We'll talk more about the Code Ninjas Create program, though, right now. And really, that's been the differentiator. It used to be called our BELT program. That's the program that really that's your number one revenue producing. That's the program that really differentiates Code Ninjas from everybody. That and our Code Ninjas Junior program. But the Code Ninjas Create is really the one that has received the most amount of attention and is going to be your number one revenue producing stream. So it's the one you want to get to know the best and the most. Well, the Code Ninjas Create program is made up of 9 different belts. Inside each belt is a learned set of skills and concepts. At the end of each belt, our students are required to build a game that shows their proficiency in those skills and those concepts, which then allows them to progress to the next belt. So it is not a participation trophy. It is not a participation award. This is showing off your skill set. Did you absorb those skills? Did you absorb those concepts? Can you show the proficiency for those skills and concepts. And if you can, by building a game, playing that game, having fun, it allows you to then move on to the next belt. Those steps in each belt that are those skills and concepts, we want our students to feel competent to accomplish each one of those levels. Competence, and they see the light at the end of the tunnel, keeps them motivated. And this is about having fun. This isn't about looking at a black screen and typing in line after line after line after line. It's about having fun. They're learning how to code through playing games and having fun with it. They're engaging. They're working on an independent level. And what that means is our program is what's called a flexible learning system. The flexible learning system is what allows them to come in at their convenience. There are no classes. There's no lectures. There's no appointed times that they have to be there. It's a flexible learning system. So when they come in, they're going to scan in at the front, which then tracks their time, because this program allows them to come in for a maximum of 2 hours per week that they're able to come into Code Ninjas and do the curriculum. So everything is tracked through our system. So they come in, they scan in, the security system then allows them to access, that security measure allows them then to access their curriculum so they can sit down. They're going to log into their dashboard, because all of our curriculum lives on our platform in the cloud, and our students access that through their dashboard. So when they log into their dashboard, they can not only see the games that they've already completed, everything that's already done. They can go back and play those games. They can have mom and dad play those games. They can have their friends or cousins, grandparents, whoever can actually play the games that they've actually completed and had success with. And then they progress in the curriculum. So when they log in, it's going to take them to the next step. This also has digital textbooks with it. So this will have those digital textbooks which allow them to work through the lessons. This is a self-paced but not self-taught program. This is not learning by video or computer modules where they're watching a video and then doing and cutting and pasting and clicking and dragging. This is them actually learning off of a digital textbook. And when they come to a problem they cannot solve, they're going to raise their hand. Once they raise their hand, a code sensei is going to come work with them one-on-one, help them problem solve, answer their questions, work them through that issue on a very personal, independent level, and then they're going to step up and step away. The student's going to keep working through. The code sensei then will go on to another student if another student is required to have assistance. This curriculum, and the majority of this curriculum, is proprietary and exclusive to Code Ninjas. Each belt works with the prior belt. It's called cumulative learning. So it's compounding. This is not segmented learning. It's not like they come in and just say, well, they're going to start at belt 6, and that's the only thing they're going to do. It's not how this works. Everything works on to one another. The more that they know, the more experience that they have had, they will just work through the curriculum much, much faster. But we also don't know what they don't know, and you're not going to know what they don't know or what they do know. So they can actually move through the curriculum quicker and test in different programs to allow them to move on if they know those skills and concepts, which makes it easier for them and saves time, obviously, as well. This program itself, by coming in an average of 2 hours per week, will take about 3 years to accomplish. We work through 3 different technologies, so 3 different languages we work through. Our students spend about a year and a half in JavaScript. They'll spend about a year in Lua, and they'll spend about a year in C#. And again, this isn't about brainwashing anybody into a language. This is really about understanding the skills and concepts, and then obviously developing those cognitive abilities that make up a great coder. So these skills are fully transferable for when they graduate, they leave, they obtain their black belt, and they move on. That gives you an idea behind that curriculum. Parents pay a flat monthly tuition. They don't pay by belt or by segment. They pay a flat monthly tuition. That flat monthly tuition is going to then allow them to come into the center and progress through the curriculum. And the parent is going to choose their engagement. If they say, well, I'm going to be paying for 1 hour per week, then that's a different tuition rate than 2 hours per week. And having multiple programs inside of Code Ninjas really allows them to choose their level of engagement. If they want to do camps, if they want to do a workshop first, if they want to try a parents' night out, the opportunity here and really the value of this is we want to introduce people into our environment. One of the number one reasons why your door is not going to swing is intimidation. So the messaging that you give through your Code Ninjas is critical. Obviously, we have a full marketing team that helps you with that, and we've been obviously working on that messaging for over 3 years, and it's been pretty exciting to see it all develop. We work with PR firms. We have digital marketing strategies in place already. But we want to make sure that parents understand that this isn't about siloing your kids into a career, saying this is what they're going to do when they get older. We want to educate them. And the great thing about this is we don't have to come up with our own material anymore. 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, you would have had to come up with a lot of your own research and development saying this is at most of the large tech companies today, Apple, even Tesla, they are releasing more and more information, more and more articles. So the great thing is that we're able to just regurgitate that information and show parents the value, and not based on what Code Ninja says, but based on what the market is saying. Some of the most successful tech companies in the world are saying this is what your son or your daughter needs to learn, and this is why, and we are that platform that we bring to the table for them. And we can introduce them into different levels. We can bring them in and introduce them into our culture. Let them see the fun factor by a parent's night out, for example. Let them test the water on different camps. We have 14 different camps that we offer. We have that allow them to get engaged and say, okay, let's try this camp first. The Code Ninjas Junior program goes from 4 to 8 years old, and that's a non-reading based program. So we don't have to worry about the whole reading part of it if they're 4 to 8 years old, and it's a non-reading based program. Where the Code Ninjas Create program is at 7 to 14 years old. So you kind of see the difference there, and allows parents to have their son or daughter be engaged at their level, their experience, their time, their budget. So it works. Every parent will spend the money if they see the value. So parents see results. It's important. Kids have fun. Parents see results. We have to continue to allow parents to use the parent portal, play the games that the son or daughter has built, to see that value of what they're paying for every month. We don't want it to be where everything always looks the same for the parent and they just don't see that value anymore. We need to show it. So this gives you a little bit of an idea of Code Ninjas and why it's been exciting and why these calls that I do every Friday, I feel honored to be able to do it. I love to be able to answer your questions. If you've met me, I've listened to these calls before, know that I'm dead on right, that I'm loaded with my caffeine, and I really do appreciate your questions no matter what the question is. There's no such thing as a stupid question, a redundant question. I'm here to answer your questions. Whether it's been asked 5 times and I need to repeat it, I don't care, because your question is just as important as anybody else's. If you have a question, this is actually going to be your time, and it's going to be pretty simple in how it works. By hitting *6, it virtually raises your hand, and when you do that, I'm able to unmute you, and you're able to ask your question, whether it's in the UK, whether it's in Canada or the US, no matter if it's about a franchise agreement, territories, support. It doesn't make a difference what your question is about. I'm here to help answer that. I've built our team in the UK. I've spent many, many years researching the UK and understanding how that market works. And same with Canada, and obviously I'm based in the US, so I know a lot about the US as well. So any questions, if I did such a fantastic job and nobody has any questions, not a problem, right? We'll end the call and we'll just move on. But if you have questions, this is going to be your time, and we have some great questions, so this will be fun.
Hi there.
You have a question? Hi.
Yeah. So I just want to ask, there's already location, Code Ninja, and I just want to know the distance. What's the distance apart from other location? Is there like 10
Well, I wish I could give you a blanket answer to that, but with our locations and how we do our territories, it's really going to come down to quite a few questions. And I don't want you to actually tell me your area right now, but we have a process that all of our territory approvals go through. I can't just say there's a certain distance, but what I can tell you is that what I would suggest that you do is work with my team and whoever has reached out to you, if somebody on my team, if you have not heard from somebody on my team, please email me at Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at codeninjas.com, and I'll make sure I get you connected. But I wish I could give you just a blanket answer. There's just not one. I have to look at the demographics, the numbers. I have to look at performance. I have to look at the overall market in general. But more questions there that I can jump into. Does that make sense?
Like in average in U.S., like we're already in place, right? So in 3 years, what's the average, like, distance-wise?
Well, again, I can't. I'm not going to give a blanket answer because it's going to vary depending on demographics. It's going to vary on a few different reasons. I can't just give you a blanket answer. I suggest that you work with my team. They'll look at your market and they'll help you evaluate that to find out if it's a viable, available market that works for Code Ninjas.
Okay. Yeah, because I work with your team and I have a preferred location. They're suggesting me to go further, right? But I'm more comfortable. I know the area well, you know what I mean? So somehow, that's why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah, and I'm unfortunately I can't just give I have my team in place. They do what they do. If they have a question on something, they send it to me for approval. So, and if it's something that's come across my plate, then I obviously I'm probably the one who denies space. And it'd be for a good reason. They should know that reason. So if I don't know your area. I don't know all the details. I'm sure if they send it to me, I've sent it. And I just don't like stacking Code Ninjas on top of one another. So there'd be a good reason why it would be allowed.
Yeah, it's a new market in Canada. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your question. Thank you.
Yeah. Second question?
Oh, you have a second question?
Yeah, if no one want to ask. So.
No, well, I have plenty here, but for some reason I have plenty of questions, but go ahead.
Yeah. So the $1 million question, I don't know if it's if you're allowed to mention sensitive information. What's the ROI if you
Yeah, I can't discuss anything unless it's in the item 19. So you have to look at the item 19, and if inside the item 19, that'll tell you what that in there is the only information I can discuss.
What's where can I see that item 19?
You would see that inside the franchise disclosure document.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't have that copy yet, so.
Yeah, you're going to want to get that and take a look at that.
Oh, okay. Who sent you that?
That'll be sent to you by somebody on my team.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thanks for your questions. All right, thank you.
Hi. I want to know the time frame. So from the application to the opening of the center.
Being in the UK, it actually happens a lot faster. So it really just comes down to what you need to know to make the decision for yourself. So we work with you independently. But the timeline's pretty fast in the UK.
How about in Canada?
For some reason, your phone's not on mute, so I'm going to have to try to find you and mute you. I'm not sure why you're still able to talk, but which is weird. So anyway, so in the UK, it's a little bit faster than anywhere else.
And you mentioned during the introduction that there's different rules for the after-school clubs.
Yes. So in the UK, you have a lot more restrictions. So you have to work around those restrictions.
Okay. So essentially,
yeah.
So we can't go into the school, but the kids can come to the centers.
You can go into the schools. We do allow you to take our base curriculum and our workshop curriculum. We do allow you to take that into the school system.
Okay. So it is allowed. It's just the extra regulations.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. The Q&A session is not over, but I do have to restart it here. So I do apologize for any issues. Let's see if that works. If you have a question, feel free to hit *6 again. For some reason, It's not muting, so I do apologize. I do apologize for that. But if you have a question, feel free to hit *6, and it'll come up again. And I apologize for that issue. If for some reason it's not muting everybody, and that's really distracting. So if you do have a question, feel free to hit. Dang. All right. Let's try that again. If you do have a question, hit *6, and I'll be more than happy to answer your question. I'm sorry that if you got dropped there was a technical issue, so I apologize. All right. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. Hi, you have a question?
Yes, I have a. So I'm attending this call from London location. Thanks for this session. It's very informative. I gone to the site and I saw some of the centers already awarded to people. So I need a bit more information on which centers are available for sale, and I would like to proceed with in the next step zone. Checking how I get the franchisee for one of the preferred locations I have in mind.
Okay, so everything you see on our website is a sold and paid for signed franchise agreement with an opening date. If you know a market that you're interested in, and what I would suggest you do is make sure you connect with either you probably received an email from Diane Vesey or myself. Make sure you reach out to her or me so that we are able to help you identify that market. Is it available? Is it viable? And we'll also be out in London hosting a Discovery Day on February 13th in Bankside Hilton Hotel. That will have another Discovery Day out there. So it would be a good idea for you to connect with her or I and make sure that we get you registered for that Discovery Day and get your market. One thing that we do is that once you register for Discovery Day, if your market is viable and available, we actually hold your market for you with no monetary attachment. We actually hold your market for you and allow you so that you can take more time, dig in, and remove the anxiety of somebody buying it before you have a chance to get to it. So I would say that make sure you reach out to Diane Vesey or myself. If you haven't heard from either one of us, make sure you check your junk file, but email me, Marty, at CodeNinjas, MARTY, at CodeNinjas.com, and I will make sure that we get in touch with you right away.
All right. That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Sure. Can you talk about the curriculum and how you use video games, or more generally, how you engage the kids? How do you make this topic fun?
Well, so a lot of that we actually reveal at Discovery Day. So at Discovery Day, we actually have an entire curriculum team that actually walks you through the different games, what they learn in those games. We give you we actually show you with an entire presentation. We have our Vice President of Education and our two top curriculum developers there that you're able to ask questions to, and we give you we actually show you more of what's happening and what the kids are learning. So it's more trying to tell you over the phone isn't always, in the last 3 years, it's been proven not to be the most successful way of doing it, but coming to Discovery Day, spending the day with us and being able to engage with our team who actually designs this and does this every day is a way better way of understanding it better.
Sure, thanks.
All right, thanks. Yeah. Any other questions I can help you with?
Sure. If I'm still unmuted, is there a best time of year to open the franchise?
This is a live call. Yeah, I'll have you unmuted. That's why we can talk for sure. So if you have another question, fire away.
Sure. Is there a best time of year to open a franchise? Do y'all have any experience with different times?
It's always about the setup. Yeah, don't do it around Christmas. Let's wait till after that. So that would be my best advice for you: is stay away from December is always a really busy month, in terms of family stuff. So I would suggest that doing it either before or after December. But otherwise, it's always about the setup. The setup is everything. You set it up properly in your pre-sale. You set it up in terms of your community and market it correctly. Every month is a good month. But December has traditionally been proven to be a more difficult month because of the holiday and kids out of school and everything.
So
okay,
I'm thinking like before or after summer is
Yeah, you know what? I would say that you work with my support team on that, especially coming to Discover Day. We'll be able to help you. Right now, I don't know your timeline. I don't know your market, so I really
I don't have a timeline yet. I'm just more thinking about in general. What is y'all's experience?
Yeah. Well, make sure you work with my team on
December.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, and it's always about your setup. Your setup is everything. Because every time I tell you a month that may not work, or we tell you a month that's not the best or is the best, it always comes down to how you set it up and how you execute the model. All right. Well, thanks for your questions. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Hi, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, no problem.
Couple questions. First one is, in the time period that you've been operating the franchises, have you had any of the schools fail? And how many, and what's the reason that you've seen that they failed? And if you haven't necessarily seen them fail, but you have some of them struggle, like what are the things that typically drive a school to not do well or to struggle?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we know right now, currently, we've not had a center close. So we've not had a center close with inside Code Ninjas. Does that mean it's not going to happen? No. Does that mean we don't have centers underperforming? Obviously not. To set the stage, IFA, International Franchising Association, says if you have a 5% closure rate or less, you're considered a great franchise opportunity. Just a fact out there for anybody looking at franchises. We are obviously currently sitting at 0. But do we have some centers that are struggling? And I've been in franchising for more than 15 years, and I've worked with thousands of franchisees in my career. And I can tell you that when you follow the same demo numbers, right, in terms of approval process for a territory, so you have that same process in place for all of your territories, that's the first place we look at, right? We look at that process of approval and say, okay, what was different about the center that's not performing? Were they in a market that was outside of that approval process? And if it was, why did we approve it anyway? Was it because of the franchisee? Was it because of overhead costs? Was it because of the market that was in? We look at all those different reasons why. I can tell you the ones that I know of right now that are not. Not speaking about one in particular or two in particular, but I can tell you that the general reason is execution of the business model. Why is a market out in the middle of, like I was talking to a prospective franchisee yesterday, and she was asking me questions and she's in California, in a very nice area, very good demographics. And obviously the worry is the risk factor of what if it doesn't work, and I totally appreciate those questions. And I gave her multiple examples of small town Midwest locations that are performing quite well, that don't have even close to the same demographics, and both have the same type of competition, which isn't really there. So why is one doing so much better than other that has better numbers? So they have higher income, they have the same cost of doing business, they have more students. Why are they not able to do as well as one that has less income, less students, and the same competition and the same base operating expense? And so when you look at all that, it always comes down to executing the business plan. And typically you see reactionary marketing versus proactive marketing happening, where, I'm not hitting my numbers, so therefore I'm going to start marketing. But you're being reactionary on your marketing. Why weren't you marketing in the first place like we require you to do? So typically you're going to see, and also getting into the business, we want to make sure that when you get into this, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish with Code Ninjas? What is your plan? Who's going to be that face of your business, and who's going to execute that business model? Who's going to be watching the budget? A lot of those questions come into play too, and we can't force everybody to be honest. We can't force everybody to execute, but we can ask the questions, they answer them, and then unfortunately sometimes but we haven't had any centers close yet, which is great. So we're excited to have that credibility right now, but it doesn't mean it's going to last forever, unfortunately.
That's helpful. And then I had just two quick follow-up questions.
Sure.
One is, I think, more applicable to franchising in general, but wanted to confirm if that's the same with you guys. let's say 10 years down the road, I decide it's been a good ride, but I want to get out. Is this a sellable asset, and how are these assets typically valued if I wanted to at some point sell my franchise?
Yeah. So when you look at anything that has a reoccurring revenue model, okay, not a what I mean by reoccurring revenue model is they have an EFT-based business. EFT-based businesses, which are obviously have that drafting model where every single month they're pulling money out of a customer's account on an automatic basis. It's not where when they feel like stopping in to get a sandwich or when they feel like coming in to buy another product or store. This is an EFT-based model, so it's that recurring revenue model. Those models typically have a little bit higher ability of a resale, as long as the books are all in line, right? That's what it always comes down to is the cash flow, the net cash flow that happens. But typically, a lot of banks are right from what I've seen and what I've experienced in an EFT-based business. Usually 3 to 3.5 EBITDA is a good way of looking at how your multiplier would work for resale. And banks if you can show a solid recurring revenue model that has positive cash flow and is moving forward, banks usually love that type of model.
So would banks
we want to help you sell
the buyers of something like this, or individuals?
It'll be individuals, but banks are more willing to lend to a buyer with a reoccurring revenue model like that.
Understood. That's helpful. Thank you. Then the last question, quick one. You mentioned that when the kids are building the games that friends and family can play those games. My question is, would friends or family have to go into the center to be able to play the game, or can they play remotely? Like can you share the game that you built? Your kids share the game that they built with a cousin that lives in a different city, for example, that can play online.
Yeah, they can do that through our parent portal. Offsite.
Okay, so it's available for anyone to go in and play the game.
Yeah, and that's consistently improving. That's something that's always improving. So we're always trying to make our parent portal more and more engaging and more about how the parents can actually see it and have fun with it versus it being some kind of far-off pipe dream. We want the parents to be able to have the access to see it, play it, and use it.
That's helpful. Thank you for your time today.
No problem. Thank you. Hi, you have a question? Oh, am I on mute? Do you have a question? Maybe. I can hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Can you
have
hear
a question? Yes. Yes, I got you. I wasn't going to give up. Yes, I got you.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, a couple of questions I have. Do you incentive or do you encourage any bonuses for the senseis or for the staff, or are you neutral about that?
I'm not about that at all. You definitely want to provide those bonuses. That monetary or non-monetary bonus that you can give to anybody on your team that keeps them focused on what their daily task is. Because remember, Code Sensei's number one job is to deliver an exceptional experience. And number two job is to coach and teach the Code Ninjas curriculum. So bonusing your Code Sensei, bonusing your center director based off of performance, it all is driving us the same direction. They benefit, you benefit, the parents benefit, the students benefit. It's a nice circle of life. So I definitely encourage it, and I always have encouraged, performance. And it also can be, a lot of people get caught up in saying it's monetary, but there's a lot of fun non-monetary things you can do as bonuses as well. So once you, I know, and I hate to say it, but once you know the love language, right, in a positive, employee-based way, you understand the love language, you understand what motivates your team, you're able to use that for them, not for you, and for the students. You're able to use that to be able to give them, encourage them, and keep them motivated, just like you would anybody else.
Sure, I think I agree on that. I have another question, if you don't mind.
Please.
With the different program that you have, guys, especially the Create and the Junior, and maybe other programs that have the same. I believe you keep the different program separated, if I understand correctly. You try not to have them overlapping. Is that correct?
Correct.
Can they create any can that create any problem? For example, for the create student won't be able to come wherever they want because there may be other program going on. Do you have found any problem with that?
No, they're able to intermix. That's not an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you, and don't forget Discovery Bankside Hilton. So if you're going to be around, that'd be a good one, February 13th for you to talk about attending. I love all the UK-based questions. Hi, you have a question?
Hi there. Yeah, I'm calling from the UK as well, so a few more if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I have quite a few
there's a few more people there, so I'm excited to be able to answer it. UK is exploding for Code Ninjas. It's exciting.
Great stuff. I have quite a few questions, so please bear with me. Firstly, just with regards to setup, I heard on a previous call that you did that approximately a good baseline number is about £100,000 as a turnkey. I just wanted to expand on that a little bit more in terms of when you refer to turnkey, what does it actually include? So that's circa 100K. What does that cover?
When I say total turnkey, that covers everything. So that's your total turnkey business operation. That is going to be your fit out. That's going to be your FF&E. That's going to be all your inventory, everything for opening. Now, in the UK, when I say £100,000, I want everybody in the US and Canada to realize the UK is a different market. Space sizes are different. A lot of the goods and everything that's done over there is a different cost structure, different factor. Here in the US and in Canada, it's anywhere from 110,000 US to 250,000 US for total turnkey, based on a lot of different questions. But in the UK, about £100,000 is about is what we ask you to start at. We understand that some franchisees are going to do it for less, and we know that some franchisees are going to do it for more. But we ask you to start at that for your total turnkey. So that's everything you would need: your outside signage, your inventory, your pre-opening marketing dollars, your fit out, FF&E, everything.
And with regards to the fit out, are we obliged to use your preferred suppliers with regards to furniture, laptops, things like that, or is it down to us to find those suppliers?
No, FF&E is going to be by our suppliers. Your signage will be by our suppliers. But when it comes to your inventory, like a laptop, we give you the specs, and you go out and hunt for the best deal.
Right.
Fit out, when it comes to building your space out, we don't require you to use our contractors. You can use whomever you would like.
Okay, and therefore, on that basis, are we then responsible for the maintenance and the support and things like that of those laptops as well? That's not a service that you provide.
Yeah, you don't want us doing that. You don't want us to call us if you get the blue screen of death. You don't want to call us on that. Call when you buy a computer, they have much better warranties out there by manufacturers and retailers than we could ever do.
Perfect. No, that makes sense. Thank you. With regards to the location, so I assume it's down to us to find the location, and I understand that you can provide support with that process. But typically, what do you suggest is a suitable location size in terms of square footage?
Well, I want to make a correction there. We have our team out there. One of our team members has 20 years of commercial real estate experience inside the UK. So we don't just provide you support. We have a full property service agreement that you can engage in and work with her to find your location, negotiate your lease, all the way to signing. So we do that in the UK. We're here in the US. We work with preferred vendors that do that for you. But in the UK, we started our own real estate arm and have a property service agreement in the UK, and that allows us to do that out there for you.
Oh, that's fantastic. And in terms of sort of typical or suggested location sizes, what do you recommend in terms of square footage?
Well, in the UK, obviously, you know that trying to find 2,000 square feet is like impossible, right? Yeah. So, in the UK, we usually look for 1,200 to 1,600 square feet in the UK. We're looking in that range.
And that will hold how many seats approximately?
feet has been very successful for us there.
I'm sorry, you just broke up there. I didn't catch that.
1,200 to 1,600 square feet in the UK is typically what we have the most success in finding.
And how many students? And how many students?
It all depends on the layout. You can get a 1,600 square foot space that can house. You could have up to 35 students at once in there. It all depends on the space layout. Because in the UK, you know that those layouts can be weird. Not weird, unique. So there could be some unique sizes we have to work around.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Next question was around staffing. So on the assumption that you have approximately 35 students, what would you say is a typical staffing profile that would be required?
Well, you're not going to have 35 kids in there at one time, right? I mean, so when I say 35 seats, each seat is equivalent to at least 5 students. So when I say 30 seats or 35 seats at once, that doesn't mean you're going to have 35 kids in there at one time. It doesn't mean your max total is going to be 35, because 30 seats would equal 5 students per seat. So just by doing the math, you can see that you'd have more than 100 students, and as total as a business, that would be your goal, but to hit capacity. But you have about an 8-to-1 ratio with your coach sensei to each student. So if you had 20 students in there, if you had 20 students in there, you're probably going to have 3 coach senseis in there.
Okay. I recall on a previous call you're saying that your kind of experience has shown your code senseis being sort of typically around the 16 to 22 age range. Can I assume that they, including us as a franchisee and an operator, you would stipulate certain checks, CRB checks, things like that in place, given that we're working with children?
It's required.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's no getting around it. And you want that for the parents' reassurance as well.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah. And would all the code senseis be part-time, or do you suggest having part-time, at least one sort of? Okay, all part-time. Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, part-time.
Okay.
Now, if you get a rock star because you're knocking it out, in the park and you're super busy, and you get somebody that turns into a lead code sensei, that's going to be based off your business. That's going to be based off of you being successful in there and crushing it. So I don't want to say you shouldn't. I just want to say that you'll start with part-time and we can take it from there.
Okay, perfect. That's cool. Next questions are around sort of operating hours. So as I understand it, if it's the drop-in program, typically children would be coming in after school or on the weekends. In your experience, how do franchisees maximize the space during the day when the kids are at school? Like what happens during the day? How are you?
Well, your students start there a little bit younger, right? They have mandatory school, I think, at 4 years old. But
4 years old,
one of the things but you also have less time off during the summers, have more opportunity during the entire year to do camps and workshops. So whenever there's not school, you're doing camps and workshops. Another is during the day, if your center director gets at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, they got things to do. They're not just sitting around wasting time. They're maximizing the space by making sure it's clean, making sure everybody's scheduled properly, emailing parents, making phone calls to parents, marketing to the community. They're doing outreach. There's things for them to be doing, so they're going to be busy. We also have the Code Ninjas Pro curriculum, which will be released here in 2020, and that's going to be for 12 years old all the way up to 100 years old. So you could be doing the labs inside your Code Ninjas in the middle of the day when no kids are in there at all. And that's the whole point behind the Code Ninjas Pro curriculum.
Okay, and would Code Ninjas be open to franchisees coming up with other initiatives that they might be able to use that workspace for?
It's got to be Code Ninjas focused. It can't be like, we're going to have, make this a testing ground for something else. No, it has to be Code Ninja focused. It can't be, we're going to let our space be used for people to office out of it, during the day. We couldn't do things like that.
Right, okay. Okay, thanks for the clarification there. Next questions are around the program itself. So you mentioned the 3 languages that the children would follow, essentially. What sort of research was done to choose those 3 in particular? I understand, the focus is not about the language itself, but what was the driver behind JavaScript, C# and Lua?
Well, I mean, JavaScript is the most prolific language on the market today, and it has been, right? I mean, there's no arguing that is one of the most common language on the market. So we wanted to make something that we knew was been tried and true. Lua is big time into games, and Lua is a big gaming part of coding as well. That made sense. And C#, it was all about the syntax and really about the similarities in the syntax, so making things an easier transition, so their problem solving could be focused versus it being scattered. But being that we owned a school that taught adults how to code, it was really about those behind-the-scenes skills versus just the language. But we also do camps, and camps can focus on Python. Camps can focus on different languages. They could focus on different concepts as well. So it's not like everything else is ruled out, right? And we know in the UK, Python is wicked popular. So if we come up with, if we need to have a Python camp, that's okay too.
And how does that work? So if you had a Python camp, would we bring a Python specialist to come in and run that workshop, or do we get trained on that with delivering that? You would
have a camp that had a guidebook that allows you to deliver that exceptional experience and just follow the guidebook.
Right. Okay. So we wouldn't need prior knowledge of Python or any other of the camps that you run. That would all be done through a guidebook.
Yeah, the whole point of this is to deliver an exceptional experience. Now, if that needs to be in depth and like a serious dive in, that kind of would have to look at by market by market. We'd have to really see is that really going to be a segment in your community that is they're only going to come in because it's a Python focused camp, right? So there's going to have to be like market research done there on the why behind that, and then how duplicatable is that from location to location. And we would love the beta test. We love beta testing with franchisees as well. So
fantastic. Okay. And then just around I think you mentioned that you can go into schools. Could you just expand a little bit on how that would work? So if we were able to establish a relationship with the school to go in and do an after-school club at the school, we just take the laptops and it follows exactly the same sort of concept?
No, because you're only able to do camps and workshops in schools. You can't do anything else. You can't take our Code Ninjas Junior. You can't take the Code Ninjas Create. You can't take that into a school. You only can take our camps and our workshops into schools. And we offer 14 different camps. The camps are not connected to Create or Junior. It's not like if you do a camp that excels, that pushes you through faster and Create. Those are all independent. Those are all independent of within themselves. So they're not interlinked at all.
Okay, perfect. And just one question back on the drop-in program. Have you ever come across a situation whereby you end up with more children than you do have seats, given that it is a drop-in? So, or do you find typically that you're never really at full capacity, and therefore there's always a seat for a child to come around? How does that work?
Yeah, we haven't had any issues like that. I've talked to a couple of franchisees when there's been like a natural disaster in their town, and they've had that situation. But there hasn't been. That is a unique situation, and it hasn't happened. It doesn't happen on a regular basis. If you're blessed with that problem, the great thing is that there's a huge TV monitor, and you know exactly how many students are in there, how long each student has, when they checked in, and when parents come in, they can see it as well. So so they would wait in the lobby once then the other student would go in.
Oh, got you. So once your time allocation is finished, then your access essentially is closed, and you leave the. Oh
yeah, you can't just keep going. Yeah, your system shuts down. So senseis watch for that, and they come over and tell you to save your work because it's going to shut down. And when it shuts down, it shuts down. So they can't just sit back there and keep going on and on and on. They can't even really They can't even log back in. They're done.
Okay, got you.
They're done. They could be done for the week. If they did their 2-hour session, they're done for the week. They couldn't come back in again and do it more.
Actually. Yeah, I was just going to ask, could they do 1 2-hour session rather than 2 1-hour sessions?
Yeah, and you're going to find a lot of parents love that. They love to be able to drop off for 2 hours, do their thing, and come back.
Sure.
No, I would.
Okay, perfect. I'm just running through my notes. Bear with me. Staffing. You mentioned, obviously, at this stage, you're not able to share any sort of revenue numbers, and I assume
no,
that you haven't opened
in the
any...
UK. No, in the UK it's different. Your franchise laws are different. So in the UK, what I can do in the UK is much different than what I can do in the US and Canada. Your franchising laws are more lenient. So I actually can align your territory up with territories with one of the other 200, with multiple locations, and give you more insight on what your opportunity is for revenue. But it has to be apples to apples. So in the UK, I can do more for you in the UK than I can in the US. That's one reason why we're moving so fast in the UK. Is because you're actually able to see revenue numbers of territories that are very similar to yours, and that allows you to make a decision a lot faster.
But given that you don't have a territory up and running yet, are they just forecasted or estimated revenue? There wouldn't be actual, surely.
Well, no, we're looking at territory. We have 200 locations open in the U.S. and Canada. You're able to see territories that have similar income and the same student population.
Got it. Okay, so you're comparing apples and apples with other territories in other countries. Okay, I'm with you. Thank you. What's the typical sort of monthly spend per student? Are you able to kind of give an indication of typically in the
U.S. In the U.S. it's $225 on average in the U.S.
225. Okay, that's
that'd be about 172 pounds.
Okay, and that's for 8 hours a month.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. I think that's everything. Thank you very much for your time.
Make sure you come to February 13th, Discovery Day, Bankside Hilton.
Yeah, we'll contact. Okay. Was it Denise you mentioned?
Diane or myself, one of the two. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. Okay. Thanks very much.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye. Keep going. I got it all day. I got tons of caffeine in me. Let's keep going. Hi. You have a question? Hi.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Right. The question that I do have for you. I mean, thank you for taking your time out and really kind of going into details here, but just kind of I've got one question, and it's with regards to some of the percentages, obviously, rather than figures. I just want to know, in terms of the marketing costs, what percentages are we allocating from the overall monthly revenue towards marketing of the courses?
We ask you to do 3%, but the majority of our franchisees do more.
Right. Okay. And what kind of marketing channels are we using here? Are we talking more traditional channels like leaflet through the doors, or are we going into Facebook, Google AdWords? I mean, how does it work, and what does the head office do as well, apart from raising the profile of Code Ninja as such?
So we own the digital marketing company. We started off by doing our own digital marketing for our franchisees, and then we moved to a third party, and our franchisees were like, nope, bring it back in-house. We have way better results with you guys doing it. So we brought it back in-house. And we have about 9 years of experience in the digital marketing space. So if you really think of that, that was actually before it was a thing, right? Before digital marketing was a thing, we were already doing it, like our team was. So when you're going to see the majority of your results are going to come from digital, but it doesn't mean that you don't do sponsorships at schools, you don't do leaflets. It doesn't mean you're not in parades and workshops and trade shows. It doesn't mean you're not doing those things, because you are involved in your community, right? So getting connected to community events, and that's going to obviously be something you're going to want to do. But you have your traditional marketing sense, which let's say that's leaflets, community engagement, parades, whatever it might be. Then you have your digital strategies as well. So digital strategies are going to be where you're going to actually be able to see the hard numbers more than just handing out leaflets. Leaflets, you don't know what's hitting, what's not hitting, what's working, what's not working. You really don't get that insight, but on digital strategies you do. So, and we use a multiple different avenues for digital strategies. We don't just focus on Facebook. We don't just focus on Google AdWords. We actually build profiles and have done it now for 3 years and had of really dialing that in and getting success with digital strategies. So especially in the UK, you definitely have a strong digital marketing presence out there. So digital strategies is going to be very effective for you out there, just like it is here in the US and Canada.
Thank you for that. I mean, one more question in terms of the price, kind of price baseline here. You've mentioned 170 to maybe £200 per student.
That's for the 8 hours. But let's be clear though. That's for the 8 hours per month. There's also a 4 hour per month. There's also parents' night out and camps, and so that's one specific price point we're talking about. That's what we average in the U.S. But we give you give you a range also that you can do there.
Marty, I'm going to be really honest with you, and I appreciate your time on this. I think that it is quite a high price, especially for the hours. So that might be kind of a bit of an issue.
But you do understand. But you do understand that's average. We don't tell our franchisees
of course
what
I
they
do.
have
I
to
mean,
charge.
we've done a lot of homework here, and we spoke to some of the other coding schools as well. And it's a bit pricey. But then again, obviously, if you're saying the numbers are there, and if you get the right kind of sales funnel and people coming in, it might work. I'm just having a few concerns about that, obviously. So
your concern is valid, but I don't think you're hearing me. What I'm saying to you is that you're able to choose your pricing. So if you're able to choose your pricing, I'll be straight with you. What is your question? How does your concern make sense when you can? Well, what I'm saying to you is your concern makes no sense, because being that you're able to choose your pricing structure based on your community and the franchisor doesn't mandate the franchisee pricing structure, how does your research and your question make any sense?
Okay, I'm just going to respond to that in a way that if our price bracket is reduced because of the area we're in, does that mean our franchise fees are reduced because of the area we're in? You see what I mean? Does the price that we charge the students get reflected in the franchise fees?
No, the franchisor just makes less because you're making less.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Marty.
Sure. Hi, you have a question?
Yes. Hello, Marty. How are you?
Doing well.
I'm calling you from Costa Rica, and I've heard that you at this moment you're only working franchises in North America and in the UK. What about Spanish-speaking countries? What about Latin America? Is that something that you guys are considering? Is it an option to think of a franchise possibility in a country like Costa Rica?
Well, I'd say email me directly. I mean, I lived in Bogota, Colombia for a number of months, and so I'd say email me directly. We can talk more about South America, and we can talk about that offline. That's not really designed for this call, so feel free to email me at Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at codeninjas.com, and we can talk more about that.
I will certainly do. I've been, just as a little footnote, I've been investigating and looking into the after-school coding market in our country, and there is certainly a nice opportunity for it, and I think that is a valuable option. So I will write it direct to you and see if we can start a conversation on that. Okay.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you.
All right. You bet.
Hello.
Hi. You have a question? Hi. How are you?
Yes, it's Raja here. Can you hear me?
Hi. How are you? Yes, I got you loud and clear.
Yes. Okay. We had an email communication going on for a long time, but unfortunately, due to unforeseen problems happened in my family, I couldn't able to communicate. I was asking you to starting in a franchise in Croydon area.
Okay.
If the Croydon Borough is a huge one, so I know you have already allocated one center in somebody else. I do not know who it is, but I think I should be able to. I also work as a community leader here. I am able to communicate to the schools. I already worked in the various schools in this area. So I am by a much better position to start a Code Ninjas franchise in some other part of Croydon, say Croydon North or maybe Croydon South. It depends upon where in Croydon you have given.
Yeah, correct. So I'm sorry, what is your question?
I want to start a franchise center. I have already gone through this Code Ninjas. I know very well because one of my friends in the U.S. also given a high regards about Code Ninjas. So how can I move forward?
Yeah, so what I would say is that I think you said you and I have been getting back and forth via email. We need to connect one-on-one. We need to take a close look at the community, and I need to tell you exactly where you can go. So I would say that we need to kind of go one-on-one. Let's look at the area, and then what we'll do is I'll tell you exactly about where you can be in Croydon or the nearby area, so it gives you a really good idea to focus in on the real estate and where you can be.
Yes, please. But not only that one, I have more than 25 years in programming experience as well, so I should be able to fairly manage the concepts behind it. I'm myself a C# developer even now, so I should be able to handle all those technical aspects as well. In fact, I do have a couple of properties. If you see whether it can be, you were saying that 1,200 to 1,600 square feet we needed, isn't it? That is the
about 12.
That is the mid.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I think I can find out. I can find out that kind of size of property here, or maybe if you can help me, I am quite happy to do that.
Yeah, let's jump on the phone. Let's jump on one call for sure.
Yes, please. Yeah, when can that happen? Can it happen on Monday?
Email me and let's work out a time.
Okay, no problem. I'm available on Monday through a whole morning. What time will work for you?
I'm on a conference call right now with 100 people. I am not looking at my calendar. We're going to have to email me one-on-one, and then let me get my calendar open so we can do that.
No problem. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, last question. Do you have a question?
This is me again. I'm calling from UK. So in your side, I'm seeing some centers being allotted and some centers under development. And so under development, does it mean that it's been chosen chosen as a location for a center, but no one has really taken it up? Is that how I should read that?
No, anything you see on our website or on that email that I sent out to everybody, those are centers that have been purchased, signed, and paid for. And then the ones under agreement, they're ones right now that we are under agreement with, and they'll become franchisees in the coming weeks. Okay, I understand. Those are the ones that are in the final stage. They have their franchise agreement. They've had solicitors review it. They're now in the final stage of signings. We have a couple of them will be signing this week. So it was they have their agreements. They're all ready to go. And they're in the final stage. Okay. In terms of the actual money it takes to open a franchisee, is there any ballpark figure in UK on how much we should see to spend on this franchisee for get the center started? Great question. Think of starting at £100,000. We know some franchisees will do it for less. We know some franchisees will do it for more. But think of £100,000 as your starting place. Okay. And in terms of the location and everything else, is it a joint effort in terms of we identifying a place and get it approved by Code Ninjas before we proceed further with the location, or is it? Everything will be approved. Yeah, you can either work with us as a team and our resources to help you identify a location and negotiate your lease, or we can, or if you're out there finding a location, you submit it for approval. Okay, thanks.
Interesting. And one more thing, if we sign up for a franchisee, how long do we have the rights for the franchisee? Is it for years, like for a 3 to 5 years?
You have a 5-year. Yeah, you have 5-year franchise agreement that you have, and you can renew it obviously too. But you have a 5-year franchise agreement.
Okay. And while we operate the franchisee, if we decide to leave the franchisee because we want to retire or we want to move out of this country elsewhere, is there a chance of us selling it out to someone else? Is that
no? Of course, you can always sell. Yes, can always sell.
Okay. All right. And for a typical 1,200 square feet franchisee, we kind of hope that at least 50 students will come. In terms of the person who operates the franchisee, how many staff do you foresee running this show? And as a franchisee owner, is my involvement required to run on a daily basis?
No, it's not like required that you're there every day. No, you would probably you'll have one center director, and then you'll have some part-time code senseis.
Okay.
Probably two to three part-time code senseis. So.
Okay. And the part-timers, should they know programming for them to teach C# and other languages?
Nope.
That we taught in?
Nope.
Okay.
They do not need to be coders and programmers.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining today's Code Ninjas conference call. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, codeninjas.com. I'll be more than happy to set up a call with you or get you connected with a team member to discuss and dig in more. I want to thank you for your time today. Much appreciated. And we'll be posting this on our YouTube channel to re-listen to and back over at your convenience. Thank you.